Jackson Chourio is back. He went 4 for 4 in his return to the Brewers lineup last night, and the Brewers just might be a bet on team. We're going to talk about a couple of games that we did not talk about on Total Bases, but first, it's $5 Tuesday at WagerTalk. All the handicappers will have plays up for just $5. I expect to have a $5 Major League Baseball play and a $5 play in Korean baseball that goes on Wednesday morning, if I get the right number. Lines are not out for Korean baseball yet. So check out my page, wt.buzz/AT. There will be at least one play up for $5 today. All right, we talked about 6 different games on Total Bases, which you can find right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, and you can watch live 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. As I said, with these videos, when I have the chance to do them, I am going to look and try to target games that we did not talk about on the Total Bases show. So the first one I want to look at is the Brewers and the Cardinals. I had the Brewers last night for a best bet. It did not work out. The Brewers just could not get out of their own way with runners in scoring position. Cardinals really only had one great inning. They had a big, a 3-run inning to give themselves a 4-0 lead. Unfortunately, Chad Patrick just didn't have it. Typically, he's more consistent. He usually doesn't get blown up like he did last night. And he did sort of give up the big hit in the 4th inning. The Brewers can never fully recover. But the Brewers made a push late. I think they had the tying, I'm going off memory. I think they had the tying run to the plate at one point in the 9th. Got the big hit to get back in the game. And most importantly, Jackson Chourio returned to the lineup. The Brewers are, in my opinion, at full strength, or are right up there. They might not be the Dodgers or the Braves, but they're close. And I think at full strength, the Brewers are probably maybe 3rd in the National League. I still think they're slightly better than the Cubs based on their pitching situation. They're definitely better than teams like the Phillies and the Mets. And I think they're probably better than teams like the Padres or anyone else in the NL West. So I still really like this Brewers team. I still think that they're probably going to win the NL Central. And part of the reason that they're not in front, that they're not more, that they're as close to 500 as they are, is the fact that guys like Christian Yelich, Andrew Vaughn, Jackson Chourio have all been out to this point in the season. That changed yesterday. Andrew Vaughn back in the lineup. Didn't do much. Jackson Chourio back in the lineup had one of the best games of his career. 4 for 4 with a walk. Pretty much all of the Brewers offense yesterday. It was a great game for him. And, having him back, having those two back in the lineup is a huge boost regardless. But then to have Chourio come back and go 4 for 4, that is a monster addition to a Brewers lineup that isn't that far off. That's the thing. Milwaukee, it's not like they've been terrible offensively, and they really are one of the few teams that just knows how to produce runs. Timely hits with runners in scoring position, a lot of team speed, they steal bases, they run the bases well. There was a couple points in yesterday's game where they just great base running play by Sal Frelick at first base. He got tagged out by an even better defensive play, always going first to third. The Brewers do things that winning baseball teams do. They do them well. And there is so much pitching in this Brewers organization right now that it's only a matter of time before they find the right mix of pitchers to, sort of maximize this staff. One of those guys might be Logan Henderson. He's been great at Nashville. He got called up, so he's going to be with the team. I'm not quite sure. He probably will be used as a starter since Brandon Woodruff is going to go back to the IL. But he's been great out of, in long relief as well. It just gives them more depth and more options. It also is going to free up some bullpen arms to play here, behind the Brewers starting pitcher tonight. So Brewers starting pitcher tonight, Brandon Sproat. He's a guy I really liked when he was coming up through the Mets organization, former 2nd-round pick for the Mets. A guy that I thought one day would be in the Mets starting rotation. And the reality is he got jumped by guys like Nolan McLean, like Christian Scott, and then, of course, the next wave of guys, Jonah Tong, Jack Wenninger, there's just, the Mets have a lot of young pitching in the organization. And they also went out and acquired pitching, guys like Freddie Peralta, who's now in the rotation. So the Mets just didn't need that kind of younger pitching depth. They were able to trade Sproat. Sproat is now with an organization in the Brewers that I think will eventually maximize his talent. We haven't seen it yet this year. His numbers this year are not great. However, he's shown flashes of being able to do it, and his expected ERA is a run and a half lower than his actual ERA. I do think that he is probably trending in the right direction. Didn't have as good a start last time out, but the couple starts prior were good. He's still a guy I believe in. And, for the Cardinals here, Andre Pallante has been really good so far this year. I mean, he really I don't think he's had a bad start yet, but his career ERA against the Brewers is over 5. And, the Brewers have seen him 15 times. So they have a large sample against him. He's not really an overpowering guy. I just think, for me, yes, the Cardinals have gotten off to a great start. To me, the clear better of these two teams is still Milwaukee. They're getting to full strength with Chourio and Vaughn coming back. And then Sproat is a buy low guy, in my opinion, because that ERA in the mid to high 6s is just not going to stay there. Even with his expected ERA being over 5, there's still a run and a half of wiggle room. And I actually think it ends up being below 5 at some point this year because he's got good stuff. And the Brewers do such a good job developing pitchers. And again, he even though he did get to the big leagues for a minute with the Mets, I don't think he's fully developed yet. So I like the Brewers here. Minus 104. It's one when I'm being more stubborn, I just come right back with them. Of course, I had them last night. If they get to plus money, I may just have to do that. But without a doubt, a lean toward the Brewers for me. Again, $5 Tuesday. I will absolutely have a play up for $5. I will likely have more than one. KBO has been really good for me so far this year. 5-2. I've only made 7 bets in the KBO, but I'm 5-2. I think I'm up over 11 units on the season in KBO. And there is a very good slate of KBO on Wednesday morning. Again, as I'm filming this, the lines are not up yet. As soon as they are, I can just about guarantee I'm going to be locking in a 4%, likely a 4%, maybe even a 5. We hit my most recent KBO play, 5% winner, easy winner. I've done really good job picking my spots in KBO, and I think I've got one for Wednesday morning. So keep an eye on my page for that. All right, let's talk White Sox Angels here. If you watch Total Bases, if you've watched Total Bases for the last couple of years, I've been much higher than the market on the White Sox. And this year, I said the White Sox might actually be pretty good. And lo and behold, here we are, 35 games into the season, and they are 1 win away from playing 500 baseball. I don't think many had that on their bingo card going into this year. I think a lot of people thought the White Sox might be better, but this is a team that is 1 win away from playing 500 ball through the first week of May. And if you just look at what they've done the last couple of years, that is insanely impressive. And I don't think it's a fluke. I think that's about what they should be based on, the addition of Murakami, the way he's hit the ball, Colson Montgomery, how he's turned into a big leaguer. And then just the pitching, some of the different relievers that have come up and been legitimate big league relievers. And then, something that's going to go under the radar here, but we kind of talked about this at the beginning of the season, was the White Sox getting Eric Fedde back. Fedde, when he came back from KBO after one of the best seasons in the history of KBO, the year he was with the NC Dinos, he had one of the best seasons a pitcher has ever had in the league. He came back and was good enough with the White Sox for half a year to get traded to the Cardinals. There was a contending team going out and trading for him. Now, he didn't have as good of a close to the year with the Cardinals. And then last year, he kind of bounced around a little bit. Maybe it was the pitching coach, whatever. Never really caught on. Didn't have a great year. But he's back in Chicago, and he looks like the guy that was here a couple of years ago prior, right when he came back from the KBO. What made him so effective in the KBO and what made him so much better than he was the first time he was in Major League Baseball was the sweeper that he developed when he was in KBO. And that sweeper this year in Major League Baseball has truly been a dominant pitch. If you look at Baseball Savant, his Pitching run value on his breaking balls. So we'll call that, the sweeper being the main one of that. That's his main, that's his main pitch that he throws. 100%, 100th percentile, meaning it's one of the most effective pitches in the game, at least per that metric. He is not going to strike a ton of batters out, but he's throwing that sweeper for a strike. And the reality is it's very hard to square up. Guys will hit it, but they won't hit it square. He's inducing a lot of soft contact and he's getting a lot of outs. Now, I guess, the reason that he doesn't have some crazy sub 1 whip and that, his ERA is still in the mid 3s, his fastball is 93, 94. If you can be patient and pick it out, obviously teams are going to be able to hit that. But he's been very, very solid. And I think the point I'm trying to make here is he's been a lot better than the bookmakers have priced him to this point. I don't think he even has to be elite here. I think if he's pretty good, the White Sox are going to be in position to win this game. Reason being, Sam Aldeguerri I don't think he's a big league pitcher. He is an organizational depth guy, in my opinion. Left-handed pitcher, you're always going to give a little bit more leash to a lefty. He's 24 years old, so the Angels probably still think that they can do something with him. But the reality is he's now been in the big leagues in parts of 3 seasons, 2024, 2025, and then this year so far, he's had a couple of stints at the big league level. His whip is 2.05 in that span. Now, it's not a huge sample when you look at it all together, but when you consider that this has been accumulated over 3 different seasons, to have a 6.35 ERA and a whip over 2 is horrifically bad. And that tells me that those are the numbers of a guy that just simply does not belong at this level. So you're going to ask, well, why is he at this level? And the reality is the Angels just don't really have anyone else right now. And not only do they not have, it's not that they don't have anyone else, but they don't have guys that they're willing to burn just yet a second time around. George Klassen got called up earlier this year. Didn't go well. You can't shatter a guy like that. A high draft pick can't shatter his confidence. Caden Dana is another one that I think is going to be back in the mix soon. But, of course, when he came up, I think 2 years ago or last year for the first time, he got pounded. And it's not everyone's got the right mindset to take a beating like that. A guy like Sam Aldeguerri, I think he understands his role within the organization. He's probably a guy that you're going to keep around to be in the rotation at AAA to try to eat up some innings. And I think he's got the right makeup where he understands it's an opportunity, but he also understands that he's likely going to end up back in Salt Lake, and he's just trying to go out and compete here. But again, look at the numbers. More often than not, at the big league level, he's not going to be super competitive. At the AAA level, he's not great. He's average. He can at least hang around at the back end of a AAA rotation, but he might not be in some of the better AAA rotations. It's also worth noting Salt Lake has one of the worst rotations in all of AAA. So he's a lefty. This is sort of why he's here. He is not in the big leagues right now because he's this great big league option. It's just the lesser of all evils for the Angels in what the deal is with their pitching right now. And the White Sox, the way they're hitting the ball, why would you not want the White Sox up against that? Aldeguerri, 30% of the time, it's a fastball. He throws 91. The way the White Sox are hitting, they should be able to score. And under those circumstances, you're getting the White Sox, I think, close to a pick, maybe even at slight plus money. I see if I can get the updated odds here on my other screen. Of course, I had the Brewers game up. But the point is, you're pretty close to a pick. Yeah, you're basically plus 101, minus 102. I see a minus 104. I see a minus 105. It's a pretty good setup for a White Sox team that has been hitting the ball the way they've been hitting. So 2 leans for you today. Brewers, White Sox. They're both close to a pick. If either get to underdog status, I may have to fire as a client play. If you want the client plays, they're all going to be on my page today for $5. And don't forget to check out that KBO play that will go on Wednesday AM that I will have up shortly as well. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow for more game breakdowns right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel.